All right, our next speaker is David Penberthy from the University of Virginia. He'll be presenting on AI and oncology, managing the tsunami of medical information.
Well, hello. Is Mike working? So all that's okay. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak on this subject today. So I'm at UVA, a radiation oncologist, been a radiation oncologist for 25 years. And so I have a little bit of perspective on oncology service. And so this talk is going to be a little bit fast, and I have about 70 slides to go through, and I was told to be on task and on time, so about 30 seconds per slide, right? So let's see here. All right, just standard disclosures. We'll talk about the cancer problem, its current state, and then the fun stuff about future directions. Just a little word. So I was president of ACCC, Association of Community Cancer Centers, which is a 50-year-old organization. We just changed the name to be Association of Cancer Care Centers to try to be a little bit more inclusive, but it's a network of over 42,000 people right now, and all spectrum of the healthcare team, from nurses to doctors to front desk staff and administrators. And we're in 2,100 hospitals and practices in every state of the nation. And when you represent an organization like this, it gets you a seat at the table. And so you get to go to Congress. You get to meet people that have influence on the healthcare system. And the reason that there's a picture of a basket of puppies is because the attorneys that kind of counsel us and tell us, when you're going to Congress, be a basket of puppies, be somebody they like to see, right? You do not realize you are not going to solve the federal budget deficit today, but you can have a simple ask and develop relationships, because it's all relationship based, everything that we do. So AI, it's everywhere, right? Who is using AI right now in this audience? Who uses it daily? A few hands. Okay. All right. So I oftentimes ask this of clinicians, and a few hands rise up. But then I say, well, how many did a Google search today? How many used car navigation to get to work or something? So actually, those are AI systems. And so we are using AI in increasingly powerful ways, and the technology is rapidly developing, so we are going to continue to use it. And everybody in this room is actually looking to enhance the future of healthcare, and so we're all going to be doing this. So it's super interesting and super topical right now, right? So we'll talk. I have several animations. I don't know if they'll all work today, but hopefully they will. But so this is the current state of oncology worldwide. So 20 million people get a cancer diagnosis worldwide, and it's a growth industry, right? So this is World Health Organization data. So by 2045, they anticipate greater than 50% increase in the number of cases, right? So it's an ongoing issue. The point of this slide is the upper right corner. Upper right corner shows that the second from the top is the North America incidence rate. We're the second highest in the world. Highest in the world happens to be Australia, New Zealand, and they have slight different spectrum of healthcare issues. They have more melanoma, we have more lung cancer, and then Middle Africa has the lowest rate of cancer. And so there are interesting implications to this. Why is that? Well, the AI systems will help us figure this out over time. But realize, when we're solving oncology issues in Virginia and Stanford and UPenn, we can actually, through the power of electricity and transmission at the speed of light, change healthcare worldwide. So these are real world issues that we're all wrestling with. So in 1960, we spent about 5% of US GDP on healthcare, all right? 2021, we spent about 20% of the US GDP on healthcare. One out of every $5. So all the legislators know this. So it's an uphill battle. When we go to Congress and say, hey, we have this great immunotherapy, it's hugely expensive. They say, well, where are you going to take money away? Because we're already spending too much money on healthcare. So that's kind of the default where they are right now. So how do we actually navigate that? Well, we have to be at the table. We have to, argue that we are important and realize that people that hold the purse strings are hearing from every aspect of the economy. They're hearing from transportation, they're hearing from defense, they're hearing from Homeland Security, that they all have these passion projects that are hugely important. We have to do this as well. So I advocate to my trainees and all that, right now, learn to do the best work, but also get involved because your voice is important. So with this healthcare spend, how are we doing? Holy cow, we're doing great. That is from 1930 to now. The mortality rates for different cancers. Look at lung cancer, that's the top rate. So it peaked about 1990, and we are doing great work. Is it perfect? No, we still have lots of ways to improve. This is kind of a snapshot from American Cancer Society, facts and figures from 2022. Lung cancer patients are doing great. Racial, socioeconomic, geographic disparities for preventable cancers are still an issue, still alarming. Cancer mortality is actually improving. And so cancer is kind of going from the scary, life-threatening thing to more of a chronic management, a disease that you have to just deal with. We're seeing successes like we have not seen before, and I have an example of that. This leads to another issue. This is my clinic every day. We have now 18.1 million cancer survivors in the US, right? So they all require a little bit of specialized attention, and they tilt a little bit towards the older age range. And so this overwhelms oncology clinics. How are we managing that? Well, we got to train extra people to be able to manage the needs of this population. And this is also a growing issue. By 2032, 8 years away, we expect, a big increase in that number. This is all NIH data. Feel free to Google it and find out, and again, in the US right now, the cancer prevalence, 18.1 million, by 2040, 26 million. It's a growing issue. Near and dear to my heart. So the green at the bottom line is 1970 to now. This is the rate of physician growth. It's increasing, kind of along with the population. Look at the administrators. So every time some legislator comes up with a great idea for patient safety, somebody has to implement that program. And so it turns out to be, physicians and the healthcare team are pretty busy clinically. So we have this army of administrators that are absolutely necessary because, we want to show that we're doing quality medicine, but we have to hit all these metrics, otherwise we don't show that we're doing quality medicine, and that has reimbursement implications and all sorts of things. It's just a fact of nature right now. So this is also kind of important. Now on the left it's a screenshot of the US debt clock, okay? And so it's actually a live website. I encourage everybody to go there and kind of look at it, and you see the numbers are rolling. And it's kind of hard to see up here, but you see the debt per person is about 100 grand. Debt per taxpayer is about $250,000. And then this here to the right is actually the highest marginal tax rate in the tax code, 1913 to today. And so this right here is actually the previous administration's tax cut from 39.6 to 37 that created lots of consternation. So do you know why I started this in 1913? Can anybody tell me? Exactly. So yeah, we're in the place where Wharton School is here. Some of the best economic minds in the nation, in the world, are literally steps away from where we are right now. We didn't have a federal tax rate until 1913, and then it was only going to be for a small percentage of people, only going to be a small number. See how long that lasted. And this line up here is the average federal tax rate. And so one of the overarching themes of this talk today is just change. Change is happening and change will continue to happen. So what's going to happen with the federal tax rate? I have no idea, but I do not think it's going to stay static. I think it depends on the political will of whoever's in power and the general population where it will go. We'll go higher, we'll go lower. I think it'll change. So this is also from a policy standpoint, so incidence upper left, mortality lower right. So incidence kind of high in the Northeast, mortality kind of high in Appalachia. So if you have control over where resources are applied, where do you want to apply resources? Where they will do the most good. And so this is also really important for the federal people that control things. What about the future? This is something I live with daily, right? This is the tsunami of information that I talk about. So PubMed, 4,000 articles a day. Thank goodness that oncology is only 10% of that. That's only 400 articles a day, right? So I read a lot. How can anybody read this much? And so this is I generated this through, I think, DALL-E 2, this picture. So the tsunami over the House of Medicine. So again, AI assisted with this presentation. This is also growth of guidelines. So I trained in the late 90s, early 2000s when it was semi-manageable. So this is National Comprehensive Cancer Network Clinical Practice Guidelines by disease site, page number. So in the 2000, it was like 25 pages per disease site. Now I could get through that, studying all. Now it's about 200 pages per disease site. And this is the references. The references when I was training, about 25 to 50 references. Now it's averaging 850 references. So how do we navigate this? We need the software systems to help point us in the right directions. And now we have this, I trained in such a time when people used to come to me with ledgers of their blood pressures and things. Now people have their Apple Watches and Oura rings, and so we're figuring out how to integrate all this into the health records. And I have a really interesting aside story for another conversation for another time, but I was at the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and I'm wearing this Oura ring. There's this millennial also wearing an Oura ring. We kind of did the Wonder Twins thing together, said, hey, what do you use yours for? Because right now it tells me like how well I slept last night, but I really don't need it to tell me how well I slept. And he said something that was impactful to me. He said, well, I'm really not using it for right now because what I'm using it for is the data that's being collected on me. Some company is going to be able to use that in interesting ways into the future. It's like, oh, that's good insight. So this is a real world case, somebody that saw just not that long ago. So this is the story of a 70-some-year-old gentleman who had non-small cell lung cancer and had headaches and ended up getting this brain MRI scan. And so what you can see here is basically a pattern of too numerous to count brain metastases. And he had seen a radiation oncologist who had offered the gentleman whole brain radiation, which is standard of care. And so he was concerned about the potential consequences of whole brain radiation, which is neurocognitive decline. We just heard a talk about dementia, and that's real when somebody gets whole brain radiation. So we're trying to do more stereotactic radiation. So he presented to UVA, and actually one of the enterprising medical oncologists got this NeoGenomics Laboratories assessment, and this is his highlight. There's this ERBB2 mutation there that happens to be an exon 20 insertion mutation for which there's an FDA-approved indication of Enhertu. So, he went on Enhertu. And then without having radiation, this is his scan 3 months later. So this was a professional. He was still working, and he was interested in continuing to work. And so this is a home run. And so we're starting to see all of this. Some people would say that initial MRI scan is also an indicator of perhaps terminal illness. We are seeing successes with stage 4 disease that we have not seen before. So keep doing the work that you're doing because, I think we're going to uncover new targeted therapies over the course of our careers without question. So Astro Teller, he's he's a PhD, part of Google, and I think the X Prize, and was at Stanford. He's an interesting guy. He says it's often easier and faster to make something 10 times better than to make it incrementally better. And we have examples all over the economy of that, from the railroads to the air flights. When I was in college, we used to brag about how many CDs we have. Now on my iPhone, I have every piece of music known to man, available to me. And so, Astro Teller is kind of interesting. He happens to be the grandson of Edward Teller, the theoretical physicist that was part of the Manhattan Project. So AI and precision oncology. Doing okay on time. So do you all know what this is? Somebody knows. Somebody knows. Did I make it in my basement yesterday? No. So this is the world's first solid-state transistor, developed in 1947 by 3 Bell Lab scientists, and they won the Nobel Prize in Physics for this in 1956. John McCarthy coined the term artificial intelligence in 1956, right? And then those at Stanford know this guy, Jensen Huang. So it's CEO of NVIDIA. So, my iPhone, I think, has something like 15 billion transistors. So these chips each have about 200 billion transistors. And now the Blackwell platform, the NVIDIA platform, is looking for trillion parameter scale generative AI. So AI is coming fast and furious, and I've read that this is some of the fastest development and fastest change of any technology in the history of humankind, right? So the robots are coming. Ray Kurzweil talks about, this year we might hit the point where a $1,000 computer has a computing capacity of the human brain. I happen to have some friends at Google, and one book that Ray Kurzweil wrote is that, by 2050, a $1,000 computer will have the computing capacity of the human race. And when I told my friends at Google that, they said, it's not going to take that long. So it's just matter of fact, History of AI, we're in this really interesting time where we're doing this generative AI, and I have some videos on that to show the implications of this. But you all may be familiar with Archive as well. This is an open source Cornell University kind of moderated repository of information. Basically, it's looking at physics, mathematics, computer science, quantitative biology, quantitative finance, statistics, electrical engineering, economics, 1,200 daily submissions, So that's where some of the hard science for AI is actually being published. And so, those of us in healthcare, with all of our free time, if you want, you can search Archive, and there's bioRxiv, and there are other repositories as well. But information is coming out fast and furious about this. And in healthcare, this is machine learning studies on PubMed. In oncology, it's in the middle there. It's about 1,500. Lots in pathology, lots in radiology, surgery, psychiatry. Pretty interesting. So it's happening. We all know this. So Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov in 1997. He was upset. I think he stormed off. And then just a few years later, Watson beat Ken Jennings in Jeopardy. And, less than 20 years after Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov, Google DeepMind beat Lee Sedol in Go. So this is something I want you to check me on. I read this. So the game of Go, right? 19 by 19 square. How many moves are possible in the game of Go? Anybody know? So there are more moves in the game of Go, this is what I want you to check me on, than there are atoms in the universe. All right, so this is something that brute force computing cannot just search and figure out the next best thing. So AI had to do something a little bit more creative and almost use intuition-like processes, and it succeeded. So super interesting. All right, we kind of talked about that. So this is something, let's see if I can get it to work. All right. So have you all seen OpenAI Sora? So, all right, some people are shaking their heads. So Sora is text to video generation. Text to video generation. So that's just somebody texted saying, a fashionable woman in Tokyo with, pedestrians in the back, kind of wet ground reflecting neon lights. And that's the video that it generated, right? And then this one is kind of fun as well. So this is, 2 pirate ships battling in a cup of coffee, right? So this is just one form of text-to-video generation. Now, is that just something cool? Why am I showing this at a health conference? This has biologic implications because every human life is a story. Every human life has some interesting things happening. And so if, by chance, we're able to, genomically kind of identify people at birth and then follow them with all their health records over time, we may be able to do more predictive analytics over time. So this is having biologic implications. Super, super cool. All right. So some people, some of my friends talk about this. Is AI right now coming to the forefront to the point where is this a Gutenberg moment? Maybe, right? We're seeing developments like we have not seen before. ChatGPT, fastest, I guess, internet application or to 100 million users. It took, what, like 2 months or something like that? So is anybody here using ChatGPT? Whole bunch of people. I use it, writing letters and that sort of thing. It's super helpful. So this is something I have staff members that are concerned about their jobs and that sort of thing. Well, we have this deluge of patients coming into the healthcare system. We need to leverage technology to actually manage that. So I don't think we're going away, but I have said this before, and then I came across this article, which I love. So HBR, so Harvard Business Review, was talking the exact same thing. AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI, right? So I felt supported in there's a video on this. I won't play it here, but for those of you interested. Where's AI being applied in healthcare? It's being applied everywhere. Oh my gosh, we heard one example just now about it being applied to dementia, but it's being applied doctor-facing things, medical imaging, research, telemedicine, personalized genetics. It's being applied everywhere. And it's gotten the attention at the highest levels of government. So this was an executive order. I think it was October 30th of 2023. So President Biden issues order on safe, secure, and trustworthy artificial intelligence. Everybody's kind of digesting what this means to how we do our things, right? And I think this is important because some of the systems are biased, and those of you that follow it, know that Google kind of went the opposite way. And so, they're trying to find the right balance for all of this. But this is something that I want you all to, again, my overarching theme is change. So this one piece of audience participation, name the country. Most powerful military in the world. Most powerful currency in the world. Most powerful culture in the world. What would you all say? U.S. So, well, that's what I'm trying to make you say, right? But the punchline is England 1900, right? And so things change over time. And so this is something healthcare AI market. So Accenture thought that we would, by 2021 be 10, 11 times what it was in 2014. When in fact, it was 38 times by 2023. It's compounded annual growth rate of 48%. Highest growth rate is in Asia, okay? So, and they talk about the total healthcare AI market being 194 billion by 2030, okay? So, Shanghai, 1990 versus 2020, 30 years. That's the same building circled in red. Show me the kind of growth like that in the West, okay? China's not a perfect place, but it's to be paid attention to. First time I traveled there, I was so kind of blown away by it. I really wanted to take my daughter there, so we did it as a family. And it's, talking about high-speed rail. We rode the high-speed rail. And the group that I went with was my business school at UVA Darden. They said that they are rolling out high-speed rail to the point where we don't know that America will be able to catch up at this point. So this is like a little bit of a provocative title of a book from a Harvard history professor, Graham Allison, talking about Thucydides' trap. And that's basically what that is that's when an emerging economy takes over a dominant economy. Sometimes it happens that there's conflict and sometimes it happens peacefully. But this is not something that we see a lot in the media. This is data from Central Intelligence Agency. By purchasing power parity, for those economists in the room, China surpassed America in like 2014. And China is already using quantum computing to do, very secure communications. Super interesting. So AI is not a US only resource, as we all know. It's a global resource. So yes, we do need to have constraints on it, but if we constrain things too much, then it will be like kind of taken over by other entities. So this is also something that's kind of, to me, a little bit funny. Comparing physician and artificial intelligence chatbot responses. So this is published a year ago. Chatbot responses were rated as higher quality than physician responses. Evaluators that looked at the chatbot responses and physician responses preferred the chatbot responses 80% of the time, and they're more empathic. So our patients are actually using these, right? They're going to ChatGPT and asking medical questions. So super interesting. And what I do every day, AI is helping us. We're doing, whenever we treat somebody, we do CT scans, we look at the tumor, we look at the normal tissues, we look at the potential nodal drainage areas, and we're contouring that. Well, that's a labor-intensive thing where literally every slice of the CT scan going through, making sure that I want radiation to go here, but not over here. We're using auto-contouring, auto-segmentation to help us do that in a faster way so we have increased throughput. So capacity management, this is basically applying queuing theory to the resources that you currently have. For example, in a cancer center, you have a certain number of chemotherapy chairs, and you have a certain amount of time that each chemotherapy chair is occupied for an infusion of such and such medication that takes 30 minutes, but this one takes 3 hours. And so, but applying queuing theory, so you're maximizing your resources. And this is in basically most of the NCI designated comprehensive cancer centers nationwide. So already using AI. Economic potential of AI in oncology, current state, 730 million. Chemotherapy is the big one. Radiotherapy is what I do. Immunotherapy and other types of treatment are coming online too. But that's the far left. Over the course of 10 years, what's that going to be? 18 times? 19 times? So AI, the market is just exploding AI in oncology. And this is something that I think is near and dear to most people in this room. We know that medicines, when approved, work, right? But sometimes they work for a small percentage of people. So these are billion-dollar drugs that, work, sometimes 25% of the time, sometimes, 5% of the time. We can do better. And we're using technologies to do exactly that. And so this is from a Nature article published in 2015 saying that, it's time for personalized individual clinical trials. And current medicine, so one medicine may work for some people, the upper left, some people it may be neutral, some people may not be helpful. Future medicine state is when we're using personalized genomics, figuring out what's medicine that's right for this particular person in their environment. So we have increasing kind of efficacy of all the medicines we have. So changing the healthcare landscape, we're streamlining workflows, reducing costs, improving collaboration, advancing research, empowering patients. We see that all the time. And again, technology changes. You all know what... Oh, I'll just go on. I'm just checking the time here. So you know what this is? This relates to CRISPR. So this is University of Leicester in England published this picture in 2012. This is a printout of the human genome, 43,000 characters per page. Each color is a different chromosome, so 130 volumes. The printing costs of the human genome was more expensive than the sequencing costs. And what's interesting is that's continued to come down. So we are doing interesting things. And this is a really great book just talking about the CRISPR revolution and how that technology, Jennifer Doudna et al., and I think it was Emmanuel Charpentier, both got the Nobel Prize. What year was that? 2021 for that? Anyway, we're doing interesting things. So AI innovation benefits providers and patients. White House unveils the CancerX Innovation Accelerator. So I'm involved with CancerX, and something that you all will hear about, and we are talking on a national level about data, right? Because the funniest way I've heard medical data described is it's a dumpster fire, right? Because it's in all sorts of forms. We get faxes of faxes. We have different medical records that are incompatible. And so we're looking to apply the best AI techniques, you need clean data, right? And so we're talking about data standardization on a national level. And I think you'll hear more about that as time moves on. Augmented intelligence, we're doing this, you know. So with augmented AI, improve accuracy, precision standardization, efficiency, diminish errors and omissions, increase clarity of communication. And again, standard of care, we have so many manual steps. We're trying to do multiple automated steps. We have indirect data transfer. We're trying to do things automated. And again, to make it more efficient, to accommodate the number of people that are coming into the system with more limited resources. And again, radiologists prefer AI-guided workflows 96% of the time. Oncologists preferred AI-augmented workflows 100% of the time. So if you are, let's see if I can go back. So if you are influencing the healthcare system, what I would suggest is be open to the idea of the AI systems and explore them, because there are investments and they are expensive right now. We're hopeful that costs come down. Why do we all use Google? We use Google because it's free, you know? And so when the systems come out that they are economically, it's not a question, then we'll all use them. Noam Chomsky, who's at University of Arizona, says, if you're teaching today what you were 5 years ago, either the field is dead or you are, right? AI standards and adoption, future trends, we need evidence that the AI does something good. When we have evidence, we also need to make sure that it's not super expensive, that it's equitably distributed everywhere, right? And that it's sustainable, okay? When it is sustainable, when there is evidence, when it is equitably distributed, policy changes, then organizations like UPenn, like ACCC, like UVA can actually promote it out there. And we're coming to this situation where people analytics, where every individual is its own research asset, every individual is their own control. Super interesting. And then the important thing on this slide, 21st century curricular emphasis, I don't think the healthcare system is going away. We need to cultivate empathy and compassion, the human aspect of this. We're going to have the systems telling us what to do. And I'm being told I have 3 minutes, okay? And so, we need knowledge kind of curation, not information retention, okay? We know the systems are biased. We're working hard to eliminate the bias. You know, all the companies are well aware of this. And so Google is working hard, so is OpenAI, so is Microsoft, so is Apple. Contrary to fears that machines will replace human workers, AI in healthcare will help rehumanize healthcare. Systems will tell us what to do at what time, anywhere, locally, and then we can help patients make the right decisions according to their personal values, right? So where do you all go for resources for AI in oncology, AI in healthcare? It's actually kind of scattered. It's a little bit limited. So some colleagues and I, this is a plug, Doug Floor is a personal friend of mine. He's editor-in-chief of AI and Precision Oncology. We created this. So now we're on our 3rd issue. So I encourage anybody to go to Marian Liebert Publications, look at this. And some interesting people are involved in that. Lee Hood, who's known as the gentleman who helped found Amgen, is part of that. So again, an open invitation. Anybody here could be a guest editor, submit a feature paper, submit research review, participate in this collective effort. So again, overall arching theme of change. Easter Parade, New York City, 1900, that's all horse-drawn carriages, right? Easter Parade, New York City, 1913, all automobiles, with that one circled in red, horse-drawn carriages. So what fixed the horse manure problem in New York City in 1900 was not a better shovel. It was actually the automobile. So with that, so my wife sitting up there actually created this image on DALL-E 2. So change is accelerating. Stay alert and engaged. Be open to possibilities and buckle up. All right. That's all I have. I'll stay here for a second. Any questions, or do you want to just roll on?
Maybe one or two quick questions? Here.
Thank you for the great presentation. I'm wondering if you can talk about MCED and how the multi-cancer early detection testing and how AI is helping, and how, especially since you brought up the fact that about the cost and AI and how it's not accessible to everybody. If you can, too many questions.
All right, that's a long discussion. Okay, so next generation sequencing, multi-cancer early detection. These are, we are collecting information on this, and we actually have a study ongoing at UVA looking at exactly this, because you get a kind of a laundry list of all these different mutations, which we don't know what the clinical implications of all those are. Some of them have actionable targeted mutations, but we're trying to match the mutations to something that we can do about it, right? And that's where some of the companies, Genentech, I think, is one of them, but ClinPGx is a test we get for breast cancer to see if chemotherapy would be beneficial. It gives us one number, right? And you can actually look at that, and so the data is very clear. That neogenomics thing, you had to kind of parse through all the report to figure out what's important. And the next generation sequencing, the multi-cancer early detection tests are a little bit cumbersome to get through right now. So we're trying to better match those to something that we can do. But you're exactly right, they're expensive right now. We're talking to payers about how to drive the costs down, and in the overarching healthcare scheme, that's an ongoing challenge that we don't have solved just yet. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.